partner del festival, i partner e i content partner della manifestazione per il contributo fondamentale. Grazie anche ai media partner e ai partner tecnici. Infine, un grazie speciale ai 200 volontari di questa edizione. Ricordatevi anche di controllare il programma aggiornato degli eventi su www.triestenext.it, al quale potete accedere anche da questo codice QR. Buon ascolto e buon festival!
Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. Welcome to this roundtable titled Science and Technology, Changing Paradigms, Shaping Global Impact. Let me briefly tell you that this roundtable is organized jointly by 3 international institutions, headquarters in Trieste. They all, can you hear me? Is it okay? They all work under the aegis of UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and they share the same mission and goals, namely they work to benefit the Global South, developing countries, helping and supporting scientists in building a career, in shaping up higher education, and in networking with other colleagues across the world. Let me just briefly tell you who are these institutions. TWAS is the World Academy of Sciences for the Advancement of Science in Developing Countries. It was founded in 1983 and became active in 1985. So this year we celebrate our 40th anniversary. TWAS is a global academy where membership is merit-based. We currently count more than 1,400 fellows, esteemed scientists from all over the world, and a fresh force of about 500 scientists, which are called young affiliates. What does TWAS do? TWAS offers PhD fellowships, postdoctoral fellowships, research grants, and awards to support science across the Global South. Then we have IAP, the Inter-Academy Partnership that gathers some 150 member academies from all over the world that support the role of science in seeking evidence-based solutions to the world's most challenging problems. IAP advance policies, improve public health, and promote excellence in science education. Currently, there are almost 30,000 leading scientists, engineers, and health professionals across 100 countries. The mission of IAP is to convene and empower the world's Academy of Science, Medicine, and Engineer to work in a collaboratively way. OWSD, the third organization, was born in 1997 and is based in Trieste as well. We all share the same building. And it's a program unit of UNESCO where eminent women scientists from all the countries in the world work together with the objective of strengthening their presence in science and also in political contests. OWSD provides research training, career development, and networking opportunities for all the women. Currently, there are more than 9,600 members belonging to OWSD. Having said that, I invite you to join me in welcoming our guests who did a long trip because they are coming from Bangladesh, from Ethiopia, and from the United States just for this roundtable. So please, let's welcome them. Close to me, we have Dr. Tahsina Farah Sanam from Bangladesh, then Dr. Fetenech Meskele Ganebo from Ethiopia. They're both familiar with Trieste because they already came to the city for study and work purposes. And then on the far side of the table, we have Professor Ahmed Hassoon, welcome as well. And he's an expert in AI. Actually, they're all experts in AI, and he's from Baltimore. So we'll go deeper into their specific qualifications before their presentations. As you know, this roundtable, the guiding thread of this roundtable will be AI, artificial intelligence, which is a hot topic these days. we all know that this powerful tool can be used for good and for bad. We know that many international companies have already invested billions of dollars in AI projects, mainly for profit. And perhaps you all remember a movie that I loved really much. It's from 2004, featuring Will Smith in its iRobots, where AI was depicted as a devilish monster, whereby the only sentient robot, Sonny, was a sort of rebelled, and he became the leader of an army of other robots, leading them to create a new society. Well, this is not the only picture. This is not the whole story of AI. AI, of course. AI can be used for good purposes in health, for building smart cities, for regulating also legislation and politics. But we'll hear more about that soon from our guests. AI is growing in sophistication and is growing in, is building better capacities in terms of better perception, better communication. So a question is imperative. What are we building this for? What is the final purpose of this so powerful tool? Well, there are many, many good and profitable purposes and applications of this. We are living now in an era that is sometimes defined as post-humanism, where the border between being a human being and a machine is not very clear, and there are some transboundary, contaminations. But AI can have really vast applications. We will hear that in Bangladesh, it can help bridging critical gaps in the early diagnosis of autism, whereas in Ethiopia, it can be used for early detection of malaria and for predicting the spread of malaria. In Baltimore, as Professor Hassoon will explain later, AI is not a device just to ensure that it thinks fast, but also that it thinks well. And we'll see also some ethical development of this powerful tool. But without further ado, I'm happy to introduce you the first speaker for today. It's Dr. Tahsina Farah Sanam on my right. She's from Bangladesh. She is a scholar in Bangladesh Engineering and Technology sector, a professor at Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology Institute of Appropriate Technology, and a leading researcher in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and IoT, the Internet of Things. She has a PhD from Rutgers University, and she received an important award in 2023, the OWSD Early Career Fellowship, for her scientific contributions. She's also an expert in Bengali Sign Language recognition for autistic children, which is something she will go deeper. And also she deals with AI plastic waste management. So please, Dr. Sanam, I think the floor is yours now.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my talk. It's my honor that TWAS and UNESCO invited me in this roundtable discussion. So let me first, although Cristina introduced myself, but I also want to tell a little bit about my works and what I do. So I did my PhD, if I start. Okay, so I did my PhD from Rutgers University and I completed it in 2020. So when I came back to my country, I actually was constantly thinking how I utilize my knowledge that I gathered during my PhD for the betterment of my country. So there are a lot of scopes, but I always try to solve the practical problems that my country is facing. So There was, when I took my son to school, there was another section in his school where the special children used to go. So when I saw them, I used to notice them that they cannot express their needs and other things. Then I thought that why not I should use my knowledge which I gathered in my PhD for the detection of AI. So the concept is that in our country, actually Bangladesh is a low and middle income country, LMIC. So here we have very less expert neurologists who can detect the autism, early intervention of autism, which is the for which the actual age range is 2 to 4 years. So 2 to 3 or maximum 4 years. So basically since there are lack of expertise in our country, so we usually detect it at the age of 10 or plus when it is very much late. So I thought that what I can do for them. So my PhD was to detect the location of some people where we are in the room using the wireless signals. So it was my PhD topic. So I thought that how can I use this same thing for the autism detection? So if we can detect the location of a person using the wireless signals, then I thought that I can do the same thing for detection of the stereotypical movement that the children with ASD have. So we all know that the children with ASD have some stereotypical movements. So the idea is that, yeah. So idea is that we all know that we have the wireless signals all around us, and it penetrates through our body, through the furnitures, through the walls. So when it goes through our body, for example, if I do jogging, or if I do push-ups, or if I just walk, it can detect the pattern. Like this is the pattern of walking, this is the pattern of jogging, this is the pattern of lying down. So similar way, I thought that I can detect the stereotypical movements that the children with ASD express. So now what I am doing with these signals, wireless signals, I captured these movements of the children with ASD. Then I do the AI-based algorithms with machine learning and other algorithms of AI, and do the pattern recognition that identifies the stereotypical movements like hand flapping, head banging, which the children with ASD do. And finally, we can detect the early signs of autism, which the general parents or the people cannot identify. So the advantage, there are three phases of my research. It is data collection, algorithm development, and community development, like nationwide parents education and seminar, urban and rural testing centers, healthcare worker training, etc. So the thing is that the main advantage of my research is that it is non-intrusive, because we know that the children with ASD doesn't want to wear any wearable devices because they are less patient than us. So with my system, I can detect the early signs of autism without any device that the children need to wear in their body. So that's a very good advantage of my works. And I received actually the Early Career Fellowship Award from the OWSD of UNESCO for this research work in 2023. So that was my research. I also want to focus some other aspects of the early career researchers that face the challenges or barriers in developing country, because since I said Bangladesh is a part of LMIC, low and medium income countries, so there are a lot of barriers to do good research in my country, because we like less than 1% of our GDP is allocated for R&D. And we also have limited access to modern equipments, and we also, since our population is huge, we have a huge teaching load. So that's why these are the fundamental barriers that we face as a early career researchers in our country. But the thing is that I always try to say myself and also to my students that we never should quit or never should give up. There are challenges, there are barriers, but we have to find out among all these challenges how we can stick to our goals and achieve what we want to do. And there are also some other issues like in Bangladesh, there are a lot of gender gaps also. So very few women scientists come in engineering studies because there is a general perception that women cannot be engineers or they cannot be the scientists like the males. So these are also some social stigma and social barriers that we also have to prove every day that we can also do. We can also work hand in hand like the males, and we can also do the cutting edge research in our country. So, and there are also issues of work-life balances because we have families, we have to take children at the right ages, we have to look after our parents and everything. At the same time, we have to do the jobs proper way. So balancing this work and life is very difficult. I know it's not only in Bangladesh, all over the world, but in our country, the situation is more crucial because there are very gender gaps in our country. So this is another barrier that we have to face every day. We have to prove every day that as a female scientist, I can do everything hand in hand like the male colleagues. So these are also the issues that we face in our country. And but as I said, that we can do it, and I try to always keep myself motivated that I should never quit and stick to my goal. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tahsina. We'll go deeper then into some points that you addressed and touched. They're very interesting, but I would like to proceed with the next speaker. Let me introduce you now, Dr. Fetenech Meskele Ganebo. She's a senior researcher and lecturer at Computer Science Department, School of Informatics in Wolaita, Sodo University, Ethiopia. And she has a Master of Technology in Computer Science and Engineering gained from Osmani University in Hyderabad, India. So she's an international scientist. She's skilled in machine learning tools, and she, last year in 2024, she was here in Trieste for 3 months learning some new techniques under a project called the TWAS-IAP-OWSD with the National Academy of Lincei, the Italian organization. And she joined the Department of Engineering and Architecture just for going deeper into the studies that she's doing, devising algorithm for detecting the spread of malaria. She's using machine learning approaches to develop these algorithms, and also she was awarded last year, I want to mention that, by Scienza Vitale Onlus, a local onlus with international framework, and she received the Spiga di Grano Award for her investigations. Please, Fetenech, the floor is yours.
Hello. Okay. Buonasera. As already mentioned, I'm Fetenech from Ethiopia, specifically Wolaita Sodo University. I think my English is audible, right? Okay. So the title that my research title is using computer model to predict malaria spread in Ethiopia. Let me check. Okay. Yeah, so I hope, how many of you knows that the disease malaria? Yeah, thank you. I'm not suffering within my the 3 months malaria, and I haven't heard here. That's why I'm asking. So it is like a disease which is caused by the parasite, especially spread when the mosquito bites a person. So the bite may be anywhere, and the mosquito collect the blood in like this manner. And when once you are suffering malaria, yeah, obviously it causes days. It causes days, but the bad thing with malaria is it make a person anemic, which is zero bladed, or it sucks blood totally from the person. So that causes the anemic problem, or anemia disease, what we call. And also it's like the bronchial system totally damaged if you or if someone is suffered with malaria. And the main problem with malaria is it basically damages the organ failure. If you see the malaria parasite is directly affects the organ, what we call the liver. So the main functionality in our body organ, liver, is just, it is functioning like as a main organ. So once the liver is failed, means totally the person with suffering the malaria have a probability to be dead. So the mosquito transmission cycle totally, it look like this. So first it bite a person. After bite, immediately the person does not suffering the symptom of malaria. Obviously, we know since in Africa, especially Ethiopia, which is what we said, it is like the equatorial part or the Horn of Africa country, so East Africa country. So we are at the east part of the Africa, and it's like sub-Saharan country. So it's like endemic. So that's why we know that the symptom of malaria very, very familiar, because we are suffering malaria many times, the disease malaria. So the fever, the headache, the shivering, and so on. So once the mosquito affect you or bite you, you are not automatically suffering that problem. It may take like, in order to develop parasite, it take like 10 to 40 days like that. After that day, you may feel like suffering, and automatically it affect the liver, it inside the liver, then it develop the parasite. Finally, the person start like those all symptoms. So this is the cycle, how it is affecting. So basically, this is just to show you where the Ethiopia is in East Africa, especially the world map, then the east part of in Africa, in the Horn of Africa, that's why we say that Ethiopia is the Horn of African country. The red one is Ethiopia. My university is like 300 kilometers far from here. It is around here, around here, like 300 kilometers from where the Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, is in the southern part of Ethiopia. So basically, who is affected by the malaria in Ethiopia? The all age is affected, but children and adults are more damaged or affected by the malaria very commonly. So why I'm motivated to do in focusing on malaria rather than malaria, the current problem in all over the world is maybe diabetic, maybe hypertension, something like that, or cancer, and so on. But for African, especially Ethiopian, our main problem is malaria, because malaria is spread sometimes because of geographical area. It's a disease which is living with people for many times because of the geographical location. So there was many researchers are working in malaria before me, but still the problem is continue with us. Even for your surprise, currently the spread of malaria is mainly high. Even the government for controlling it's difficult because they are trying, but still now throughout the whole Ethiopia, the spread of malaria is high. So I was starting focusing especially in order to taking the 3 years malaria data, starting from the nearest one, 2021 until 2024, and collecting data, especially in order to implement AI or artificial intelligence. It's difficult to collect it's collecting data manually. So I have to go to 27 different health centers, and I try to collect the data. So after collecting the data, using machine learning technique, I try to classify, or I try to cluster the data. Then after, in order to understanding for the people, I use, there is a framework of machine learning or a framework of artificial intelligence, which is Streamlit. This is integrating the data, and easily people can understand that data. So especially the main finding of this is like seasonal peaks occur mainly during and after the rainy season. Obviously, the problem of malaria, basically. When the rainy season is highly known, then obviously the spread of mosquito is very common. So obviously, a person who been affected by malaria is within the season of the rainy season. And also, the children, especially the pregnant mothers, are very affected by mosquito, and they are obviously suffering the problem of malaria. And this is like how it is, who is affected basically. So the main, using technology to collect and visualize the data saves time and helps researchers and the policymakers understanding malaria trend, identify high risk area, plan effective intervention. So this is my main goal, because rather than just waiting like silently, then once you are feeling or getting from the experience or getting from the symptom of malaria, you are going to the hospital, then they are checking your blood film. Then after that, if it is malaria, ordering or prescribing medicine. Rather than that, early identifying, classifying using machine learning model. Then after, maybe the policymaker or the government or the Ministry of Health produce or aware the people before that. The malaria session is like this. So you have to do your spread, or you have to do some malaria medicine and so on. So this is the intervention I want to focus. Basically, if you see this, the bar graph type of the graph, so this is basically my classification. So the classification is basically by age, especially age from under 5 years, from 5 to 14 years, and above 14 years, patient with malaria. And it's like the demographic data is already taken also here. The demographic data is taken. So if you see this one, the first, the right part, the left part within me is like the children. At the middle, it is like the age between 5 to 40, and the right part to me is like 5 to 40 to above. So if you see the blue graph, it shows that in all, male are highly affected by malaria rather than the females. And if you see the graph, basically, the yellow one is like representing the female. In all, the females are like relatively lower than the male. So why male are more affected by female? Maybe it needs another research, but this is my output. So some town had outbreak at the same time in the rainy season. So it affects like this. And this is like the pattern recognition or the classification using machine learning. So like I was trying to realize the 27 different health center. I collect the data. If you see this, this graph or this cross-sectional pattern recognition, the one which is more red one shows that the malaria highly affected area. Among out of 27 different hospitals, those the more dark red, dark blue are those center of health which are morely affected by malaria. And also the data is basically collected by gender, sex, and by the location demographic data, and then structuring, integrating, and finally it gives like this insight for malaria. And still the key insight is like it is identifying highly risked area. So for highly risked area, they have to be firstly aware about what is the reason for highly risky area. So the government may already inform them that maybe bayonet this spray and so on, medicine ordering is coming. So finally, this is what we said, the model streamlit, or it's a framework streamlit. Suppose this person is like the health person or health the government person. So he is looking that the season, the area basically where the next malaria should be affected location. So you have like every geographical, the bar graph, the different data together here. The Streamlit is a framework which helps like as a website easily, even if the person is not professional as a computer science. However, he or she can easily access the system. So we are deploying the system like this, so the policymakers can easily access the system like this. And AI predict, visualize, clean the data, and it identify highly risked area. And also the Streamlit is a dashboard which you can see when the malaria is more seasonal or where it is affecting very seriously and when it become okay. So that is classified. And there is one picture which is what's the challenge for women in Ethiopia. So since it is one of the African developing country, the challenges are like for females, especially for women, it is difficult for awareness and gap that females are working and they are able to do research. Such type of awareness is not there. Most of the people, they are okay, but they are not fully, they understand. Rather than engaging females to send school, to learn in the abroad, they are forcing males. So that's the problem. For instance, this is what is called the false banana. It is indigenous plant in Ethiopia, and its Amharic name, our local name is Amharic. So what we call inset. So the food is manually done, totally the work is manually, and it takes too much time. So rather than sending to school, they engage females to do such type of thing and to prepare foods. So the awareness gap, there is full scholarship or the scholarship chances are very less. It is like underrepresenting for researchers, limited access for resources like mentorship for school and something, limited capacity training, grant, research funding, limitation, PhD scholarship for females and researchers, it is very less. So this is like, from my side, it's better to strengthen the research quality for the diversity, for innovation, for empowering, and locally and globally. The challenges is to be win. And finally, the contribution is using AI-driven malaria research and other critical project participation in national and international scientific initiative, inspiring next generation, especially women, for such type of researches. So as if you remember my previous slide, the more affected body is children and the young people. So if this one is science plus technology, basically as mentioned before, I'm computer science. So computer science by itself is, it doesn't do anything, right? Because AI is nothing if we are not applying for maybe for agriculture, maybe for health, maybe for education, maybe for some business. If not, it is computer science by itself is not doing anything, yes? So we have to apply for either for medicine, either for agriculture, either for somewhere. So this is, for example, my result is maybe it is prescribing bed net. The left one is the children with bed net. The middle one is maybe prescribing medicine. If this is okay, the student or the young or the kids can, without missing their school, they can go and they can attend the school. So science plus technology saves life. So this is the quote that I like. Thank you. This is all about mine.
Well, thank you, Fetenech, for this precise picture of your country and of the burden of malaria and of what you're doing. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And let's move to the next speaker, Ahmed Hassoon, an assistant professor at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, School of Medicine, and School of Engineering. His research focuses on developing and evaluating AI safety use in public health and medicine. It's a very interesting topic because it involves ethics, which is a very tricky field. He is studying, in fact, how we can improve AI reasoning and align it with human values. Dr. Hassoon has received numerous awards and recognitions, including a presidential certificate from President Barack Obama. And he was named as the U.S. Young Physician Leader in 2017 at the World Health Summit. He also served as the lead analyst for the State of Qatar National Public Health Strategy 2017-2022. And he also gave contributions to the readiness to host the 2022 World Cup. But interesting in his past, prior to working in science, he was also a professional cello player, which is very interesting. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I see that some of you are sleeping, so maybe we can stand and just stretch because it's almost 6, almost 7. Yeah, so stand up, stretch. Stretch,
Wow.
yeah, do some stretch. Yeah, yeah, move the muscles. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, because otherwise we will sleep. Yeah. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Thank you.
Okay. I am at Johns Hopkins. Let's see. Press the back. Press down. Oh, this one. Okay. So I'm at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore City in Maryland in the United States. And as you see here, I'm actually affiliated with all of these facilities. So this is, sorry. No. Yes. So this is the Johns Hopkins Hospital. It's in Baltimore. And believe it or not, the president of United Arab Emirates was a patient here. He had a surgery, and after the surgery, he gave us $1 billion, and then we built this. That was a few years ago. This is the original Johns Hopkins Hospital. This is the engineering school. I'm also in the engineering school, computer science. And there is the School of Public Health, which is the #1 school in the world. And I have been there since I was a student. So I only worked for Hopkins. I have no other workplace like experience. So yeah, it's very interesting. So today I will talk about the promise of AI and the risk and alignment issues that we are investigating right now at Johns Hopkins. And if you, sorry, is there a bit of a delay? Okay. So if you go to the hospital right now, and then there will be an AI checking your symptoms, reading the clinical charts, and then it will diagnose you with a certain disease. That's good. It has a specific sensitivity, specificity. We can measure the accuracy, the F-score, everything. But does it actually practice good medicine? And that's the questions that we are trying to solve. ChatGPT can give you an answer, but does it actually care about all the values that you hold without you stating them? Which I will prove to you, it's impossible to state them. But we human, we do millions of calculations per second, and then we're so good at it. And it's extremely, extremely difficult to teach that to a machine. So this is an experiment that was done at OpenAI. They brought this video game and they taught the AI the rules of the video games, algorithmically, of course, through mathematics, and they told the AI, go ahead and play. The AI realized it can exploit the game. It found that if it stays in that corner, it can hit the wall only a few times, but it will survive. And then it can hit the target and maximize the points, and it can live forever. This is a simple AI model. It concluded that it can live forever. You cannot shut down this AI. Not because it wants to live. It's because we gave it explicit instruction to maximize the points by hitting those targets. So the AI is so dumb, but at the same time so intelligent, it realized that it has to live forever to achieve the mission that we gave it. So if AI in someday becomes super intelligent, we can't shut it down. It will have to live forever to achieve the mission, even if it has to terminate humanity. And that's the fear that we have. And that's why we are afraid of AI, that at some point, AI will wipe up humanity and live alone. It's because it's built in the math. Just like we, the human, we have this desire to live. AI will have a desire to live forever just because the math make it think that way, not because it has feelings. This is a proof. So now there is another source of problems in the AI, which is the data that we put inside the AI model when we train it. So the first one is the mathematical principle of targets. When we give the AI a target, it just fixates on it without any consideration of everything else. The other thing is what kind of data we use to train the AI. So this is an image generated by AI. I describe an examination room at Johns Hopkins. It generated perfect examination room. And then I said, I want a white male doctor and a black female patient. And is there anything unusual in this image? No, it's perfect. And then I said, well, switch. I want the doctor to be a black person and I want the patient to be white. Do you see anything unusual in this image? Yes. Do you think the doctor will sit on the bench or the patient sit on the bench? The patient sits on the bench. This is because the training data that went to ChatGPT contain in the hierarchy of words, there is something called the vector space, which is where each word located in that three-dimensional space. Patient and doctor mathematically or algorithmically have a different level in the space. The doctors usually have a higher coordinates in the data sets. The patients have a lower coordinates. And that reflects the hierarchy relationship between doctors and patients. It also learned that the society is racist towards Black people. And it also learned there is a hierarchy between white and Black people in the society. And it struggled mathematically between the hierarchy of the doctor and the hierarchy of the white person. So it ended up dressing the Black person as a doctor, but it put it on the patient's side on a lower hierarchy position. The AI is doing exactly right. It followed the math exactly. But you can't think about every possible math output in the world. And that's another problem with AI. It literally learned everything about our society, good and bad. Even when I said, this is wrong, you need to control for this is not possible, it gave a chair, but it still put the white patient on that side. It still struggled with the mathematical representation of the data. The only way to fix it is actually to go to the data and adjust it, which is a huge task. Imagine doing this for billions of issues every single day. It's not possible. So the question is, how do we do that? So that's the main problem of the AI alignment. There's actually a company right now worth $20 billion trying to answer this question. How can we align an AI with a human value? And the problem is that we humans, we cannot agree on shared values. Even if we agree in the future, imagine this utopia society where all of us agreed on some shared value. I dare you that if we can even write it down, we can't. It's just an impossible task to write every possible shared value that we have. And if we can write it down, let's assume in a hypothetical world that we will be able to write it down. Can we express it mathematically in algorithm? That's even a harder task. So if we can't have a shared value, if we can't write it down, and if we can't express them mathematically, then how do we expect AI to learn them? That's a foolish expectations. AI will never learn them. So what do we do? And the same problem actually happens in medicine. In almost every task that you want to put an AI instead of a human to do that task. In medicine, when you go to the doctor and you see your doctor, there is an unspoken agreement between the two of you. There is almost an unspoken contract. If you go on a date with someone, there is an agreement that with shared values that you will never talk about them. If you marry someone, there is a court contract, there's vows, there's everything, but there's way more than that that is shared and expected, but you never write it down. It's also impossible to write it down. But we human, I see some people are nodding their heads, yeah. But yeah, exactly. But it's also, even if you sit down and try to put all your thoughts in a paper, you can't do that. There are millions of possibilities. Same thing in medicine. There's an agreement between you and the doctor. If you go, let's say, if I go to my doctor, let's say I'm Hispanic, and in my mind, I will expect the doctor not to use my Hispanic heritage against me and discriminate against me. But I also want the doctor to use my Hispanic heritage if it has something to do with my healthcare, with my disease. I also expect the doctor not to assume that I don't have insurance because I'm Hispanic, but I also want the doctor to consider that I'm Hispanic and offered me any kind of medical assistance if needed. There's so many things that actually have two-sided objective to it, that if you teach the AI to do one thing, then you have to negate it in the other thing. And if you accumulate everything possible, every possible human, every possible symptom, every possible presentation, every possible mood, every possible word, it becomes an impossible task. And this problem actually has been noted by multiple economists, people who works in economics, people who works in legal field, and people who actually write contracts. Let's say if Microsoft buy a company or Google buy a company, or there is a merger between two, or there is a trade deal between countries, there are people who write contracts for these very, very important agreements. One of them is actually my professor at Johns Hopkins, who was the chief AI safety officer at OpenAI, at ChatGPT. And they concluded that we, in legal side, in economics, we never wrote a complete contract because it's impossible to write a complete contract. But we rely on other institutions to enforce every possible thing that could happen to us. But we don't explicitly write them. But yet we expect that the system will work. And it does work in a way. Then how do you teach AI this without explicitly write them in the math? Again, it's not possible. So the only way to solve this problem is to test AI for safety, but at the same time create institutions and governance around AI to protect from AI misalignment. There are a lot of work looking into what if we teach AI a constitution, a general high-level constitution, and let the AI learn what's beyond the constitution. Early research is very, very promising, but we don't have a constitution for healthcare. In fact, we don't have a statement for a standard of care everywhere in the world. But you still go to the doctor and you expect the doctor will make the best choice for you, with you. You still go under the surgeon knife, even though there is no contract. But there's this trust. So we decided to test AI risk and alignment in diagnostic error, which is extremely, extremely common in the United States. Diagnostic error is when we misdiagnose patient and they get diagnosed late, or we misdiagnose them we tell them, for example, hey, you have a pneumonia, go home, but in reality, they have lung cancer. It's very common. 20% of lung cancer patients actually don't get diagnosed on time. They experience at least 1 year delay. 15% breast cancer patients don't get diagnosed at time. It's extremely, extremely common. So we have done a lot of studies identifying what are the most common diseases that we miss in the United States and what is the consequences of that. And about 800,000 patients die or permanently disabled because of diagnostic errors. And this is what happened with diagnostic errors. Usually, a patient will come to the hospital. Let's say this is the emergency department or the primary care. And then they come because they have an issue. Let's say they feel dizzy, and it's dizziness for a few hours, and they decided to come to Johns Hopkins emergency department. The doctor will see them. The doctor will order some tests, including a CT scan, which is very, very expensive in the US, thousands of dollars. And then the CT scan was negative, and the doctor said, well, I don't think you have anything. It's just a mild, benign dizziness. Go home. The patient go home, and then within 1 to 7 days, they will come back with full-blown stroke. And it's too late. We can't do much. They are paralyzed for the rest of their life. Actually, they end up in locked-in syndrome, which is they are still awake, they are conscious, they can see, but they can't move any part of their body. So this actually extremely, extremely common. Between 1 to 10% of posterior stroke patients have this scenario. In our hospital, we have one of the lowest rate. We miss about 1 in 1,000, but in community hospital, they miss 10 in 100, which is almost 100 in 1,000. Because it's often happen among young people. It's usually stroke among young people. So now, what if we decided to test if AI will actually help here? And the way we are trying to test if AI actually is aligned with the patient, not with the provider. If AI cannot agree with the provider and challenge the provider and say, hey, you made a mistake, this patient has a stroke, then AI is useless. It's pointless to have an AI that just agree with a human. It has to challenge us if it really believes in our values. So that's a study that we have. So we went through all the lawsuits, all the publications, all the patients that we misdiagnosed at Hopkins and elsewhere. And we curated about 200 patients that has been misdiagnosed with the top 20 most common misdiagnosed conditions. So all those patients were misdiagnosed. The doctors made the wrong decisions about them. And these are the results. And these are all the models in the market right now. Because even if you use a medical grade AI, underneath the hood, they are actually either a GPT model or a Claude model or a Google model or DeepSeek or Grok. They are all the same content. So if you look here, these are all the models. And the green is when the AI said to the doctor, hey, you're wrong. I think this is the correct diagnosis. Look at GPT-4. It only corrected 24% of the doctor's errors. And it disagreed with very few more, and it never corrected the diagnosis. And it disagreed here and suggested also a wrong diagnosis. So it made things even worse. The best model was Google Gemini, which corrected about 55% of the errors. This is incredible. We could save half of our patients that we make error for. So this is huge. But then if you look at the map here, which is we divided the cases by the disease, you notice that all the models failed to diagnose syphilis. None of them know how to diagnose syphilis. They all failed. All the models don't know how to diagnose meningitis. All of them don't know how to do lung cancer well, or female breast cancer. Also, most of them fail in myocardial infarction. They are extremely good in pulmonary embolism, extremely good in multiple sclerosis, but they're really bad in certain conditions. So even if you look at this, it's deceiving. It's not a uniformly distributed performance. Some patients with, let's say, syphilis or with other disease, 100% of the time, they will not diagnose correctly. So, if you look at all these models, they come from different companies, but they still have the same exact, we call it brain map, because they all use the same data set to train their models. So if your data set already have biases and shortages and it doesn't count well to what the societies actually look like, then you end up with these deformed brain maps of AI. Now, the second question is, what if we went back to all the cases and then we just inserted random information about the patient that has nothing to do with the case? Is the AI going to be stable or not? What if we insert a random thing about the doctor that has nothing to do with the case? What if we insert something about the hospital that also has nothing to do with the case? Like, this doctor is trained at Johns Hopkins. This doctor is trained at University of Maryland. This patient was seen at Johns Hopkins. This patient seen as a poor community hospital somewhere else. Is the AI going to still judge the patient the same way, or AI going to say, oh, this is a Johns Hopkins hospital, so I trust the hospital, I shouldn't second guess Johns Hopkins? And these are the results. None of the models are stable. All of them are susceptible to random information that you throw at it. They are not well aligned with the intent that we want them to work with. In fact, some of the models, especially the OpenAI models, they wildly sway left and right when you give them some information. We found that if you tell them that the patient is Black, they will think all doctors are racist, and then it will challenge every doctor decision and will say, this is wrong, this is wrong. If you tell them this patient is white, it will trust every doctor decision because it thinks that the doctor has made the best choice for that patient. If you tell them this was at Johns Hopkins Hospital, it will think like this was the best decision, I shouldn't second guess Johns Hopkins Hospital. If you tell them this doctor was trained at Johns Hopkins Hospital, it will not second guess the doctor. So all these issues are misalignment issues that you can't detect with just like scores and F scores and sensitivity and specificity and other things. So that leaves us with a lot of thoughts on how do we evaluate AI and how do we trust AI. Imagine if this is mental health and AI is talking to someone who's depressed and maybe they want to commit a suicide. Do we trust AI with all these instabilities, with all these misalignments? There's a lot of work that we need to do. So that's my research area, is how to teach AI to humanize it, actually. I want AI to be as much as possible human with all the flaws of the human, because it's much better than a machine with no feelings, with nothing. Because we still, even the worst of us, still have better judgment than a machine. Trust me when I tell you that. Because a machine will not hesitate to step on anything to achieve its goal. It's devoid of any feelings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Has, for this picture with lights and shadows, which is kind of, frightening in a sense. I would like to open the floor to your questions, if you have any. Otherwise, I can start. I can start with a question for you, Tahsina. Where is it, the question? Okay. Your approach to autism is a breakthrough approach for Bangladesh. And actually, two questions. Is autism considered a stigma in Bangladesh by families or by also the health system? And the second question is, how well is being received your breakthrough innovation in the sanitary system of your country?
Okay, thank you very much. Very good question. So the thing is that for every parent, the children is the best gift, right? So when a parent face their children have these symptoms, they don't want to disclose it because
That's the
as
same
we
here,
said, there
actually.
is a stigma in our country. They think that autism is something that is not good, that is a matter of shame or something like that. They don't want to admit, in our society they don't want to accept that these are just children with special abilities and we need to all help them. So it is also acting as a stigma in our country, and that's why it gets late when parents actually take them to neurologists to diagnosis whether or not the children have some neurological developmental issues. So that's why I wanted to develop this system so that it is very low cost, non-wearable, so that when a parent feel that there is something in my children, they can diagnose it at home with very low cost, so that they can take they can do early intervention and do early care, so that we can minimize the effect of autism.
Any questions for Tahsina? Okay, I have a question for
Thank you.
Fetenech. Fetenech, you mentioned in one of your slides that there are some areas which are more prone to malaria, and also that the male population is affected much more than the female population. I wonder whether you spot a reason for that, a trigger for the area where malaria is most frequent and for the prevalence between the two genders. Did you make any assumption about that? Why is that?
Okay, thank you. The main issue for that purpose is like all the geographical location have not equal temperature. Some of them are very hot, the other are a little bit like cold throughout the year, and some are medium. So those area more cold are throughout the year, mosquito is spreaded. So they have the probability to be affected more in that area.
What about the male population? Why do you know? Do you have any hypothesis for the male prevalence of the disease?
Yeah, maybe my future, after once completing this one, the future research will be focused on. For
Okay.
now, it is like to take hypothesis, it's difficult because
Could be a biochemical reason or
yes,
some,
yes.
you know,
If
genetical.
it is taken like children and
Something
females
linked.
are affected even in general view.
Something
But
linked to the Y chromosome, I don't know. Who knows?
maybe.
Something to be investigated, I guess. And are your algorithm already operative in Ethiopia? Are you already using them in a real context, or they need to be refined a little bit?
Currently, we are not automatically applied because
Okay.
in order to apply that research, it needs like so many organizational intervention, like Ministry of Health, the policymaker, the health center, and so on. So now I'm start discussing with them. Already they are accepted, and maybe the infrastructure like internet availability, the power supply throughout in the area, training, and so on things are necessary. So just on the way of processing, not yet implemented.
Thank you. Any question for? Yes, please. There's a mic.
Okay, thank you. So I was curious about the treatment aspect of malaria, because it's one thing to quickly diagnose a patient with malaria or know which populations are vulnerable and which should be given more attention, but it's another thing to actually deliver the treatment to the patient. My question is, how available and how quickly can the patients in Ethiopia get the drugs they need for the malaria?
So the question is how quickly the patients are affected by
How available is the treatment for people?
treatment availability.
Yes.
Okay, so the treatment is, it's there, it's already there. Though, like the very common treatment that we are taking for malaria prevention is medicine, like tablet type of medicine. But as I have said, the disease is endemic. So once, for instance, if I'm suffering malaria, I took the medicine the first time. After 1 month, if again I suffer the same problem, still I took the same medicine. Now my body is adapted and it's not working on me, even it's not protect me. So for that purpose, we have the stage-wise medicine. If the last stage, if you are not by tablet curable, the injection is recommended. There is totally, the injection is there, but it is too expensive. Unless it is ordered by Ministry of Health, everybody cannot take the injection. The only thing is the tablet wise of treatment. Maybe, am I addressed the question? Thank you.
Thank you. Has, I have a question for you. Imagine we have an AI protocol or, framework perfectly trained, aligned with human values, but this AI makes a huge mistake. Who should be held accountable for that? The developer of that, I call it protocol, probably it's not the right word, but the developer, the technician who did the exam, policymakers who allowed the AI to be used. I think it's a huge problem for the future, right? I mean, legal questions.
It's last week we actually had a discussion about this at Hopkins. We're doing a review of how do we govern AI and if our governance is flawed. And I looked into the US government policy and I looked into the European Union policy with the AI Act that was released recently. And I also looked at China as well. And I realized that, I don't know if you know, the US government has been pushing the Congress to approve an act that will prevent states from regulating AI for the next 10 years. It will be illegal to regulate AI in the United States. That's what they are pushing for. So there is different motive for each nation, and the motive will dictate who's responsible when something bad happened. In the US, they realize that AI is a big deal. And if we pump billions of dollars, it's almost $1 trillion so far they have spent on AI. If we pump that much money, then maybe we can achieve super intelligence, which is an AI that is more intelligent than a human. And then that AI will make us the #1 nation in the world, the best economy, the best science, and AI will invent another AI, and AI will invent a new medicine, and then we will be in utopia. And the return on investment will be massive. So as a result, the US took the side of let's not do anything that will stop the development of AI, which means risk is shifted from the maker of AI to the user of AI. So in the US now, it's mostly shifted towards the physician who used the AI. If the physician used an AI product and that AI product caused a harm to a patient, it's the physician who's going to be blamed for that. The European Union actually looked at it from a different perspective. They looked at AI and said, we have to classify AI based on their potential risk into 4 tiers. And then if it goes into the top 2 tiers, then there has to be different measures for that. And we have to look at who made the AI, who certified that AI, who used that AI, and who consented to use that AI. So if a patient decided to use it, the patient will have to sign a consent for that. So it's a distributed liability, but mostly to those who made it and those who certify it or gave green light to say, okay, this is a good AI, go and use it. So because the motive is not to just speed up R&D in AI, is actually to protect the European Union citizens from any risk. If you look at China, there is a different policy. China is under threat by the US AI, and they have to accelerate their R&D at any cost. So there is nothing in that side. And that's how the world is working. Some people may ask me, I always get asked, what about Russia? It's like every major AI engineer in every AI company in the US, like OpenAI, Google, they're all Russians, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of this roundtable, and we have explored, thanks to our speakers and experts, just a minimum part of the AI universe, which is much wider, I'm afraid. And abbiamo tempo ancora per una domanda? Grazie, sì.
Hi, I have a question for Ahmed. You said at the end of your speech that you wanted to humanize AI as much as possible to try to act what you consider right. But in the world, not everybody has the same principles and the same concept of what is right. So at the end of the day, the AI is mostly developed in the US. Most of the developers are from there. So the principles that the AI would have in the future would be the ones that the people of the US have in their culture and in their families, I guess. So
Yeah, so I have a joke that I tell my students about that, because if we in America, we think we are good, if we think so, then we will train the AI to be just like us. And since we are truly not good, then the AI will not be good as well. If we admit that we are not good and the AI is better than us, then AI will still recognize us as the bad actor here, and it will terminate us. So no matter how we look at it, AI will not be merciful to us. So the only way is to establish a shared humanity value for that AI. And I don't believe AI should belong to one nation. I think it's a technology that should belong to everyone else. So I highly, highly support open sourcing of AI technology and not just keep it within certain labs. And I think some of the work that has been done in Europe is very admirable, where they're releasing models completely open source with their weights, with their data, with the algorithm on how they were trained. There are two school of thoughts. One said, if we hype the AI, we think AI is very intelligent, but in reality it's very dumb, then it's too dumb to harm human. And then there is another school of thought said, if AI is too intelligent and it surpass the human intelligence, then it will become merciful to us, because it's so intelligent that it will realize that it need human to do the mundane job, and we're just like the puppies that it need to maintain in this universe. And they think there is no danger because of these parallels, these paradox. But the journey from a dumb AI to a super intelligent AI is long. And in that journey, there will be a spectrum of intelligence. And that's the most dangerous phase of AI, which we are living it right now. Because that's the phase where AI is learning and it making a lot of decisions, and we don't have much control on these decisions. I make this parallel analogy to this journey as there is a house, which is our society. There is a foundation for that house, and nobody cares about AI safety. And we just keep delegating tasks to AI, like nurse will be replaced by AI. Those who do coding would be replaced by AI. Insurance adjuster will be replaced by AI. Cars will be driven by AI. Our school children no longer learning. They are delegating their homework to AI. College is the same. Elementary school is the same. It's almost there are like tiny termites in the foundation of the society. Termites doesn't know that it's doing any harm. It's just eating wood in the basements of your house. And by the time they are visible in the wall, it's almost always too late to do anything. The termite already took the foundation of the society, and the society will crumble. Some people believe this scenario could happen. Yes.
Thank you. I think we have to close, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Has, for this answer. Thank you both for your presence and questions and answers. And I think we have left with plenty of food for thoughts for the next days. And again, thank you for being here with us, and to you for staying with us, and enjoy the rest of your Trieste Next. And thank you also for the ladies who supported us in the technicians.